Well, somehow we found our way here again because we've got nothing. My name is Francis Leach and I'm here with my compadres, Craig Harper.
Hello, champion.
Hello, Craig, and the wonderful Bianca Chatfield. B.
Oh, hello. I'm loving your hat today.
All I've got is a hat.
Can you wear a new hat every time you come in, please?
I could do that.
I would like that.
I could do that. Could that be a thing for us?
Is that a beret? What do you call that?
I call it a beret.
A beret.
Is it a beret? I don't know.
Oh,
I
I don't know. I'm
not quite.
Mm.
It's just
It's a
something
little bit Sherlock Holmes meets the Casey, the steam driver, the engine driver. Oh, I don't know. Shut up, Melissa. Good to see you, Francis, and it suits you.
It does, Craig. That's the thing. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good.
What's been happening this week?
Well,
The agenda.
I was just saying to you guys off air that I just got a gig in Ireland, and I decided I'm not going to fly economy. So that could be the deal breaker because they just sent me the what are your requirements and expectations. So I went, well, this could be a deal breaker, but I'm not going to fly economy. So how far is it to Ireland? Like you stop at there's two options.
Singapore, do you stop in? Singapore?
Yeah, or there's a two stopover option.
Go straight through, can't you?
Yeah,
from
there's a
Dubai?
one stop, which is Dubai.
Yeah, do that.
How far is it from here to Dubai?
13 hours.
Yeah, 13.
Dubai to...
So it's about 24 hours to London,
Yeah,
all up.
yeah.
It's probably the same, just a little bit
Dubai
longer.
to Dublin?
To Dublin.
How far?
I've done it before, but I
13,
couldn't tell
12
you.
hours.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Maybe a little less.
Yeah.
Are they
Worth
like-
it.
They must be on the absolute opposite side of the world.
Pretty much.
And
So can you imagine just this? Imagine this, what it was like. And here we go for a bit of historical context.
Captain Cook, here we go.
Shipped off in transportation in the 1850s for, I don't know, like my relatives being political activists and being sent around the other side of the world in a creaking wet ship.
Yeah.
Well, even the some of the older former Australian players would tell us stories that when they were going on tour over in England, they'd get on a ship and it would take them 3 weeks to get there, and they would be training just on the boat, and the balls would go over the side, and then by the time they got there, they'd have no balls left to train with, and they'd get over and play a few games, and then 3 weeks to get home.
Forget that.
How ridiculous!
So when you start complaining about your economy class flight,
Yeah,
just imagine
princess
that.
over
Yeah.
here.
Please.
Turn because
Yeah.
earlier, we must.
no one heard
20
that.
minutes
No one
ago,
heard
you're
that.
like, fuck economy, don't go economy, make him fly your business.
In fact,
Hey,
get
I'm 6'2". How tall are you?
Yeah, 6'5".
in fact, hire a Learjet.
please.
Get them to hire a Learjet, and you can stretch out completely.
Whatever. I know, first world problems, but that's okay.
No,
I'm
that's
with you.
okay.
I would do that.
That's
It's pretty
You're
hard.
working. You're not going over there for fun. You're working.
Once you've turned left on the plane, once you've gone up those steps and turned left, very, very hard to
To
get
go
back
right.
up and go right again. You do feel a sense of inadequacy when you do that.
But it's like, it's amazing how you get to a point, you become quite irrational when you're sleep deprived too, and you say flying to LA, which I think is maybe, it's only 14 or 15 hours from Melbourne, but it feels like 14 or 15 days. But by about hour 10, I would go up and pay someone $5,000 for their seat for the last 5 hours.
Completely.
I'm like, I can't. Like, I've got a bloke that I don't know that weighs 120 kilos that's kind of dribbling on my shoulder a bit, and the bloke in front of me's got his seat reclined way back, and I got to climb over 3 people to have a wee. And
And I get
Again,
claustrophobic
first
if
world.
I'm stuck in the window seat too and I can't get out. I hate that.
Yeah, the battle against the window seat. Some people are great and are lucky and can, and my good colleague, the Ox, who I've travelled with to games regularly, can get on a plane and do the sarcophagus and just lie there like that and close his eyes and he will sleep from the moment he does that. Like he just,
What is
there's
that?
like a switch.
what is that?
And he's squashed in economy. He's taller than me.
He will sleep anywhere, whereas I could take a dozen sleeping pills and I'll still be, like still looking around trying to find a way to get to sleep. It only takes the slightest bit of discomfort for
Yeah.
me to be distracted.
And you start reaching across and tweaking nipples.
Exactly. That's after I've had my bottle of gin at 7 o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
at Adelaide Airport.
dear.
What was going on there for those of you who've been under a rock? One of our more renowned and successful swimmers, Grant Hackett,
Extremely successful.
has had a couple of challenges, but we still love him, I guess. But
Absolutely.
he bought himself a bottle of, what was it, gin?
That's the story.
Well, he didn't make the Olympic team, which was sad because he's 35 and he's come back and he's in ripping nick and he just missed out. So that would have been an awesome story.
Hasn't drunk for months in the lead up.
Clean and
obviously,
sober,
trying to
and then
get
went
into
probably
that
went,
team.
oh, fuck it. But I don't know that, like, when you're sober going at 7 a.m, I'm just going to go buy a bottle of gin now. I don't know that that's the best choice.
I didn't see his press conference. What did he actually say? Like his kind of "I'm sorry" conference.
Well, I didn't go into the detail about that, but it was I've still got challenges and I need to work through them, and that was an indication. And I think for all people, and Craig, you've worked in this space a lot, people who do have to deal with addiction issues, or whether it's addiction or sort of lifestyle habit problems, they do fall back. And it doesn't mean that they've completely undone all their good work.
Of course not.
But it must be incredibly just hard to deal with when you think, oh shit, I've worked so bloody hard to get to this point, and I'll make a bad choice.
Yeah,
I shouldn't be judging too harshly.
Yeah.
They just didn't need to touch anyone else in the process and things like
yeah.
that.
Is it
Thank
unfair,
God.
though,
Thank
that
God it
we-
was a bloke. Thank God.
Oh,
Yeah,
you think that
that's
makes a
true.
difference?
Like,
Well, it doesn't really, but it kind of does.
well, what I mean is, like, if he had have done that, which he didn't, but if he had have, even in his drunken stupor, done it unintentionally to a lady, there would have been a world of hurt coming down on him right
I
now.
don't know. It just amuses me. But are we unfair that we monitor absolutely everything he does? Because
course,
so
it-
many other people go through that,
Of
and
course,
you never
if he
hear
was
about
Grand
it.
Hackett the plumber, no one gives a shit.
No.
But also, if he's Grand Hackett with a bottle of gin at home and gets drunk and passes out, no one knows. If you do that in a public space, you're kind of asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you?
true.
Did you?
Ever do that? No.
But
Yes.
you
There's still a chance.
as a high level athlete in the media, work in the media now, were in the media, interviewed for the last 15 years. Did you ever? Were you? Not that you were stratospheric in terms of like an Olympic gold medalist, but you're still a high-profile athlete who is in the paper and on the telly and
Isn't
on
a
the radio.
Commonwealth Games gold medal rated as highly? Or?
Exactly.
in this room, yes.
yes.
Because
Yes.
you're the only one with one.
Don't worry, I get
No,
it. I
you're
get it.
way better at everything than us two dickheads. But did you have an awareness of that, or a heightened awareness of not saying and not doing certain things?
Yeah, but more on social media too. I think we can get away with in public a lot of the time people not really knowing who we are. They know you might play sport because you're so tall, but you don't. It's only probably been the last couple of years that people actually know who I am, and that's not everybody.
Don't you ever do that? Don't you know who I am?
Never. Everyone tells you to do it.
How
and I'm
many
like, as if
times
you
a
would
week
ever
do you,
that.
in a typical week, does someone tell you you're tall? Like that's a
Oh,
fucking, that's
daily.
a revelation.
Oh, thank
Daily,
Captain
daily.
Obvious.
Really?
There.
Yep,
Really?
daily. But but I don't know. You just get used to
What
it.
do you? What's your? You must have like 2 or 3 stock standard replies.
Yeah, one is because people are like, oh, didn't realize you were so tall or whatever. And talking about netball, I'm like, well, I'm actually really short compared to other netballers, and they kind of look at me like really confused.
Romelda
and-
Aiken.
Yeah, like Romelda.
Holy moly, that's tall.
Yeah, or I'm just like, yeah, I know, thanks, and just sarcastically walk away. But more other people around me get really pissed off, like my friends or family. They're just
Yeah.
like, shut up, leave her alone.
Yeah.
But I just think people are fascinated, so good on
Yeah,
them. It's like
and you
the
don't
freak
feel like
show
going.
walking into
You're
town.
curiously short. You don't.
No, I really want to tell someone one day. I really want to go, oh my God, you're so fat. But then I thought, I could get in trouble.
Before you said that, when I went the short option, I was thinking the fat, and I went, no, I'm not going to say that because I'll get shit for that. But you came out and said it for me.
Said it. I would
Imagine
love
if you
to
could
be
just
honest.
choose a day and just be like
Yes.
George Costanza style and just say absolutely everything you feel.
Honesty Day.
But it's
Today should be Honesty Day, guys.
well,
What are you thinking, Craig? What's really getting to you?
this is a constant saga, not saga, but challenge for me in that, because I have spent my life talking to people about bodies and their body and their fat and their body composition and their muscle and their ass and their boobs and their leg and their fucking skin and stretch marks, and you look at it differently. So I'm very like, I can look at a guy and go, he's got an awesome body, or a girl and go, she's got an awesome body.
Yeah.
But there's nothing sexual in it.
No.
For me, it's like, wow. And it could be an athletic body, not necessarily a body that I might find attractive, or it might be a body that you go, she's super hot, or
Yeah.
he's super buffed, or whatever.
Yeah.
But for me anyway, because I spent so much time assessing people, doing body fat tests, looking at semi-naked bodies, some of them awesome, some of them terrible, a lot of them
Yeah.
in the middle. It doesn't mean, like, if somebody's fat, to me, they're fat. That's
Yeah.
not a commentary on their value as a human
Yeah,
being,
or their
or their
personality
integrity, or their personality. Like when I was a fat kid, I was a fat kid. I wasn't fucking thick set or full figured or voluptuous or
Big boned.
big boned or stocky.
What does big boned actually mean?
It's a euphemism for
For
fat.
fat.
It's like I say to mums, if it's if it's not on a puppy, it's not fucking puppy fat. It's people fat. He's a human.
But when you're back in the day of being a fat kid,
If your son's not a golden retriever, it's not fucking puppy fat.
If he's not shedding
Yeah.
at least twice a year.
If he can't lick his own balls, then that's human fat.
Well, we have to check it on his bedroom sometime.
but when you were a fat kid,
Yes.
did that affect you and your identity?
But, well, my nickname
And have you
was
learned it
Jumbo.
because of
my
that?
nickname was Jumbo. But,
Gee, they were witty kids out at mall.
Oh,
weren't they?
yeah.
know.
Yeah. But, I mean, I was completely aware that I was fat. And I was also aware of why I was fat. And it wasn't my ideal state or my preferred state, but, I wasn't delusional about it. And I actually didn't get picked on much, I must say. I would say that I had more...
Because you didn't have Facebook and people weren't commenting and telling you.
Yeah. Well, I had more warmth and affection and support, I guess, in general, because I was a pretty easygoing, social, reasonably good communicating kid. You know, I wasn't some... I wasn't sitting at home on my computer all night and day and hiding and stuffing my face with Cheetos. Hey, Cheeto fingers, you know. But
White Cheetos.
yeah, how good are they? Yeah. But I think that's real. But you don't know where to go these days with people. Where if you make a commentary, like I did a video a little while ago on, some of the real reasons that we're overweight, and so. Of course, there are genetics, and of course, there are biological variables. Endocrine system and age, and
Just being big boned.
That's being big boned. Whether or not you're an endomorph, ectomorph, mesomorph, whatever, all that stuff. But we go, okay, so we can't change that. So let's just talk about all the stuff we can change. Is what you shove in your gob. Whether or not you move your body much, whether or not you do it consistently, whether or not you do it appropriately. Not only what you eat, but when you eat and how you relate to food, and whether or not you're legitimate or you tell lies. Like when I was a fat kid, I used to lie. I would eat food and mum would go, have you? I'd go, nah.
Yes, same.
All the time. I lied all the time. But when you say, people lie about what they eat, everyone gets offended, but it's fucking true.
Absolutely.
Like everyone fibs all the time about, but we don't like to see ourselves as, I think the stat was, in fact, it's in one of my books. I can't remember the reference, but in
Did
a
you write
typical,
your book, or?
Yeah, no, I did. In a typical conversation, the average person lies 3 times in 10 minutes, right? Now,
How many lies have you told so far?
Yeah.
Leanne?
No, but it might be oh, your hair looks great, right? So it's
Maybe
just like you want to make someone, I love your hat, Frankie.
Yeah,
it's
you've all
great.
said that at the start. Now I
you
know
know?
it's really, it's really
No, I
going
do
on
love
here.
it. I would wear it, Frankie.
Well, you said you liked it and told him to wear it, but it's just that
Yes.
just a slippery slope of,
Yeah.
I know we need to be sensitive to people and we need to care and we need to be emotionally and mentally discerning, but where do you get to the point where you go, fuck, I don't know what I'm going to say, because even though my intentions are good, 7 people might have a heart attack because I've said something that for them means something else.
Yeah.
Well, it's often difficult in my job because sometimes you're asked to give an opinion on things
Oh,
you
for
know are going
sure.
to be unpopular.
How many people on average listen to you across the 3 hours in the morning? What would the cume be?
I did over 100,000.
Yeah. So you're talking to 100,000 plus people
Yeah.
with 100,000 personalities and
Yeah.
egos and attitudes and mindsets.
and
Fucking
strong
good.
convictions, and particularly with sport, people are it's much more of an emotional connection rather than a rational one, so that people
For
don't
sure.
actually think through or
For sure.
have a process to actually consider what they're feeling.
Yeah.
So you get the most raw and unfiltered responses to some of your opinions.
What about when you're thinking beforehand, before you say something that you know is going to cause some controversy? Do you try and filter it out, or you just got to go with exactly what you think and not worry about what comes?
Oh, you have to make sure that you've thought through why you're saying what you're saying. So if
Yeah.
you say something that you feel is going to upset people, you need to be able to rationalise and justify why you've made that analysis, or consider the things that you're talking about to be the case. And the Essendon Asada thing has been the biggest, and the most difficult experience of that over 3 years, dealing with the fallout from that, because the response from Essendon fans is rightly very passionate
Of course.
and emotional, whereas my main concern has less been about the cheating issue, which I know is important because
Yeah.
it's important to the integrity of sport, but it's been more about the occupational health and safety
Yeah,
issue in
the
and
care
around
and
the
welfare.
reckless use of substances in a guinea pig environment on young men, whether it was a football club or a work site. I find it offensive and really frightening. And I've seen over the years in all sorts of different environments where that's caused untold damage years and years on. But it's hard to have that argument in a rational way with people whose first response is always with their duffel coat on, and considering that their football club first, second and last, and not the welfare of the people beyond wearing an Essendon jumper. So that was a really tough one because it's incredibly difficult to have an engaged conversation, a meaningful dialogue with people who are not listening but are feeling all the time. And that's a very different thing. And it's very, very difficult not to just get worn down by that.
I had to, so I'm writing a column in the Herald Sun every couple of weeks, and they rang me and we were talking about what I was going to talk about. And so they said to him, why don't you talk about Travis Cloak? And that scared the life out of me a little bit because I'm like, one, I don't want to always write about netball. Like I want to talk about other sports and show that I have knowledge in other sports.
So Travis Cloak's a Collingwood footballer who's struggling at the moment. His form's pretty poor. He's a bit of a lightning rod for discontent with Australia's biggest Aussie rules club because, you know, he's the guy that's being paid the big bucks and isn't producing.
Exactly right. And so anyway, I wrote it and I kept trying to say to myself, you've just got to write, as long as you've had experience in that, you've just got to talk about that because no one can ever doubt you in that part of your world. So that's how I tried to angle it. But the morning it was in the paper, I was in the Virgin Lounge in Melbourne Airport and the whole of Collingwood was sitting in the lounge.
Oh, nice.
And I was just going, I'm just going to hide over here in the corner. Even though I was happy with what I wrote in the end, I truly believe what I wrote. I was just mortified that one of them were going to come up to me.
Did anyone come and say anything to you?
Nothing. Oh, Sarah Allen, who's their media manager, texted me and said, like, great article, loved it. But yeah, I was just thought the boys were going to come up and go, what the fuck do you know about footy? But no one said anything.
But you were talking about people.
Yeah.
I mean, like, true. You know, footy is about people. Apart from the practice of football or the process of playing the game, like it's largely about, you know, thinking and emotion and confidence and self-esteem and connection. And that's just, I mean, if you don't know about that, then no one does.
True. But it's the inner critic in here that you've got going, do I say it, do I not?
But I think the more that you don't second guess yourself, I mean, have the filter and be aware, like Francis said, you can't just, even if it's true, you can't just rant. But what I wanted to ask both of you is, when do you go, or do you ever go, no, I'm not going to, like the door opens on a conversation and you're about to go, and then you go, nah, it's going to be wasted. It's going to be a waste of time because this person isn't receptive or open. Like there's lots of conversations that I could have that I know could be valuable to a person, I believe anyway, in terms of what I know and my experience and my intentions. But I know where they're at. Like a guy rang me yesterday who just wanted to vent about something. And I know I could have spent half an hour on the phone with him and I spent 2 minutes because I knew it would just be a waste of half an hour because he wasn't open. Do you ever have a similar thing?
All the time. I've only learned it too, probably over the last maybe 5 years, when it's worth your time and when it's not. Because some people just want to give opinions and they don't actually want to listen. They never ever listen to what other people think or say or how it makes other people feel. So yeah, especially with players, I've done that a lot. Once you know your teammates, you know the girls that just want to whinge and bitch about absolutely everything, and then you know the girls that actually come to you and want advice and and actually do something with the advice that you give them.
Who's the? I won't ask you the first
who's
group,
the players that
but
are
who's the best girl that you think she was super responsive, super open, and super humble in that you could go, hey, I reckon here's some ideas or feedback, and she just went thanks and then did something with it.
Probably at the moment I'd say Shani Layton,
right?
Who's an absolute gun of a player, and I think we've only just really seen the start of what's going to be an awesome career for her. Plays for the Diamonds, plays for the New South Wales Swifts, but she'll ring me all the time.
Good for her.
And I love that she does, because after a game or whether it's after she's had to go and do a talk or something, she's always then giving me feedback about how it went and super appreciative of my time. And I don't know, I just love everything about what she's doing. And you can see it on the court. Like I commentate her now, so I have to be critical of her performance. And like on the weekend, they got smashed by the Firebirds, and we'd been kind of building her up for that game and what she was going to do. And I couldn't help but, I had to be critical of her performance. But then straight away, I get a text from her, and it was like, "I've been murdered." I was like, "Yeah, at least you know."
Yeah,
but I just love that.
I played shit is not the same as I am shit.
Yeah, correct.
Because we all, whatever our job we all play shit at some stage, and you go, yeah, okay, I'll learn and I'll do better.
Not everybody does though. Some people find it very difficult to separate the two of those things, and that's when they get into trouble, I think, is when whatever they're doing becomes their identity.
Yeah.
And therefore, whatever achievements they have or failures they have is a comment on who they are. And, that's an easy trap to fall into.
100%.
It's not easy at times to separate those two things out. That, I am not what I do, but what I do does reflect part of who I am. It's a tough balance.
And the thing is, when you find, I think we said this a few episodes ago, but when you find yourself in your brand or your job or you're going to be insecure, because that can go. And if who you are is what you do, it's a very vulnerable place to inhabit. I was going to ask you, Francis, and if you've got an idea, B, it's about politics. It's about politics.
Okay, zero idea.
Yeah.
I'll just tune out.
I thought about this the other day in reference to you because you're a political animal, and I'm definitely not. But I'm interested. I'm not interested in politics as much as I am politicians.
Yeah.
Right. This is a big question. I don't know if you can even go there, but my respect for politicians is 1 out of 10. Broadly, there are some that are an exception, but only because it seems like their whole purpose is to just shit can the others and stand up there like a 13-year-old going, well, he said he'd do this and he didn't do that, and she said, and so essentially they're shit and we're good and you can't trust them and we're fucking great. And
what you're saying is the quality of debate is rubbish.
But they don't. It's just like the way that they just, I don't know, talk about, like, it makes me uncomfortable how hateful and hurtful they are. I don't know if I'm oversensitive, but I just go, to me, you running down someone else, even if what you're saying is correct, it doesn't make me think highly of you. The more you talk like this, the less I like you, the less I respect you.
You obviously haven't been following Donald Trump's campaign, which has all been on the vilification of his opponents, the belittling of his opponents.
I have zero respect for him.
Yes.
Zero. I just think he's one of the most unlikable human beings I've ever seen.
He will be the nominee for the Republican Party.
Really?
He will be. I don't think he can win the general election in the US, but he will be the nominee. He's going to run.
Tell
Against
us about...
who?
Well, Hillary Clinton's got the nomination set up on the other side,
So you think
pretty much.
Hillary will be...
She will be the next president of the United States.
Wow.
Barring some enormous
What's the percentage of that?
seismic
What's
shift.
the Francis Leach percentage on the Frankometer?
On the Frankometer, in terms of the general election
Yeah.
in the United States,
Yeah.
if Hillary wins the nomination, barring some revelation that she's... and there are a few things out there in relation to her private server and emails and stuff
I
like
heard
that
about that.
might... If some big revelation, big reveal comes that she might be indicted for. Unlikely.
When you say private server, a few things spring to mind. None of them electronic. Go on.
Trump can't win a general election because...
Just me?
Yes, I got it. His appeal at the moment is purely to the fairly hard reactionary base of the Republican Party. And when he goes to a general election, when the average person looks at what he's had to say and do, I believe that his numbers will be awful. So that's going to be fascinating to watch. So, but he is that narcissistic politician that you talk about, where it's all about him and politics is purely a pathway to power for him to self-aggrandise. But not all politicians are like that. The big disappointment is that the quality of political debate generally is menial. It's awful, and it panders to the lowest common denominator. It gets dragged down to the level of stupid because we live in a world of sound bites and 24-hour news cycle where the chatter is constant. And any decent work that politicians do gets lost in the static of the nonsense that they speak. So it's easily understandable, but I also think it's because politics has become such a small class. The people that get involved in politics now are drawn from such a narrow field. Our major political parties are smaller and smaller in terms of their membership. They come from the same sort of backgrounds, and they're people now are career politicians who leave university student politics and want to be politicians, where previously politicians were drawn from all walks of life and were mostly driven by the motivation of whatever political convictions they have to do the best for the community. Not always, but it was and they might play the rough and tumble of the game, but most of them, I think, in a generation or so ago, still had that notion of public service at heart. Now it's a career. And that's what's disappointing. And I don't think it's good for us that it's become that, but it has become that. And so less and less are we finding that people are prepared to do that, to take on that role, be involved in participatory politics, because it's so tainted. And that leaves the field open for those people that you talk about. So in a sense, our lack of participation means we get what we deserve. We get these arseholes who just pour shit on one another because we ourselves are not prepared to get in that arena, whether it's, joining a party, joining a campaign, getting involved in an issue we believe in. We leave the field wide open to dead shits. We get what we deserve.
Motoring party.
Well, Ricky, he's been a surprise. I mean, for all of that, he's actually, I don't agree with many things he believes in, particularly his love of guns, but when I hear him speak, he speaks with a real common sense, very direct, very sincere, and you can kind of relate to that.
Yeah.
He had a job. He had a job before he became a politician, and I think it makes him a much better politician than a whole bunch of them that turn up in suits straight out of or out of a union or straight through the Liberal Party ranks. He's going to be gone though. He's going to lose his seat.
What about here, Bill Shorten? Has he got a chance?
That's tough. He's got a chance, absolutely. I don't know. Politics in Australia is so volatile now. I mean, we've seen the turnover of Prime Minister after Prime Minister. The electoral cycle has become so turbulent. We used to very rarely see one-term governments. When was the last time? Prior to this cycle of government, the last one-term government, I mean, even Whitlam won a second election in 74 and was turfed out in 75. So it's a long, long time ago. You have to go back to the 30s since we had a one-term
You're like a
government.
political
I love
savant.
his brain.
It's just ridiculous.
How
It's
do you
like,
pull all that information?
wow.
Back in
What I know they probably don't give a shit, but what would the rest of the world, and by the rest of the world I mean probably America, England, Canada, like the bigger countries, what would they think of our political kind of representation? Would they be shaking their head at?
Well, no, I think they would see it. Well, they've all got their own issues. I mean, the British parliamentary system might produce longer-term governments, but they've had any number of issues when it comes to sleaze, graft and corruption through their political system. I mean, just recently, the Hillsborough findings, which we heard about what happened in Hillsborough in 1989 with the death of those 96 people, showed a level of political corruption, or at least, a willingness to participate in the lie about what happened to those people and who was responsible for that.
Yeah.
In Europe, hung parliaments and, coalition governments. Italy's had, nigh on 30 prime ministers, 40 prime ministers since the end of World War II because those sort of coalitions fall apart all the time. So it's not that unusual, but it's unusual for Australia because we haven't had that. It's been different for us. And it's a little bit weird, and we might get another hung parliament this time. You never know. Hung parliament.
Where's this? Did you have this interest in politics when you were young?
Yeah, it's kind of a family thing. Yeah,
Right.
we've always been political people. My son's
So if you
working
could,
in politics
if
these
you
days.
could only comment on music in some parallel universe, we know your job these days is sport primarily, but if you could only be immersed for the next 5 years in music or sport or politics or something else, you could only work in that space for the next 5 years. In a parallel universe, not going to happen because he's very happy at SEN. But in an alternate reality, being paid the same money for either of the 4 gigs.
Knitting my pubic hair.
Wow.
That's what I want to learn how to do.
That's not what I expected.
Someone's got to learn how to do it, to make use of that obviously
It's been
available
done. It's been done.
resource.
It's called a merkin.
Obviously available resource that's grossly underused.
Last week
dear.
it was
I know.
shaved vaginas and penises.
Right. Vajazzling. We didn't even talk about that.
No.
Is that still going? Is that
I don't know. I've never participated
You
in that.
don't know.
I've got no idea.
You led the
Do you know
charge on that. You're like, hey, welcome back to vajazzling.com. I'm Bianca. Check out my J.
Have you heard of steaming? What do they call
What?
Lisa, do you know that?
Don't drink
like-
this.
Don't ask
No,
her.
This is the new thing.
She's
I
innocent.
saw it on the Kardashians, which are a
Well,
great
see, this
source
is
of
where-
information.
Right.
Do you know who the Kardashians are?
Of course I do.
Oh, good. That's good. You were looking at me quite confused. Apparently, there's some kind of beauty treatment where you get some steaming done down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's like a chicken
Like
breast.
people
Just
go-
like,
That's right. How ridiculous.
wow. Just
yeah.
that.
Apparently, it's starting to come into like beauty salons, so people just pay to go and get some steaming done.
Wow. Is that
So
like,
can we just talk through how
I
that might
just-
work?
how the fuck does that not hurt?
I don't know.
We're just
I
gonna-
haven't had it done.
We're just going to put this
saw
chastity belt type arrangement and pump in some hot air.
Khloe Kardashian was talking about it. I need to find some.
No,
Can you
information.
find out what's it supposed to achieve?
Melissa, can you
like
Google
a detox
do
or
that?
something?
gentle
down there?
steaming?
Genital steaming.
Yeah. Have a look.
Wow.
I'm sure you're
Wow.
going to find it. It's
Wow.
not. No.
Well, I mean, people will
I've
do
got
weird
nothing
things
on
down there. I mean, what happened? Wasn't the coffee enema a thing for a while?
Yeah.
What was that about?
Yeah, for sure.
Whacking
Well,
a
I
tube up
think
your clacker
well, I
Like
think-
cancer patients?
I think the
with caffeine.
well, didn't we have this conversation?
No.
We're just obsessed with the
You
toilet.
have other podcasts, obviously.
I think. Well, I mean to clear out the pipes, but I guess the caffeine did something.
I'll have a latte or two.
Yeah, that's. Would you
Oh, gross.
take away or no? I'll have here. I'll just bend over the counter.
Oh, wow.
How do you want your coffee? Inserted, thanks.
Yeah.
And here's a syringe. Can someone dim the lights and put on some Madonna? Yeah, I don't know. I do not want.
I've heard
few,
about
few
it
of my
from,
friends have up the hose up the bottom.
Yeah.
I won't be.
What do they
hurrying
say?
there.
What do they say is the
Oh,
benefit?
they all rave about it.
But why?
Oh, you just feel amazing, cleansed, detoxed.
Yeah. But is it a gimmick?
Just there's so much stuff up there. I'm like,
Yeah, well, it's
no,
we
I
can
don't know.
stay there.
Really?
You
It
know?
can stay there.
If it doesn't
You
want
never
to-
know.
It's like, oh no, there's like 100 pounds of shit in there. I'm like, pretty sure there's
Oh,
not.
so they do it to try and lose weight. So
Yeah,
they get
I
on the
don't know.
scales and they're like, woo, I've lost 2 kilos.
Mm.
And then
Well-
next day back at. Thank you.
Oh, here we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
steaming.
you.
Right, I'm
thank
looking that
you.
up straight away.
Thank you.
I reckon that.
Boys,
Does anyone know that steaming's boiling hot?
Paltrow.
Oh, there you go.
See,
That's
it's
nut job
the
central.
new celebrity cool thing to do.
They've got too much money
Wow.
and too much time on their hands.
Do you know what you and I need to do, Bianca? I don't know why I didn't involve Francis in this. Maybe because he's on his phone.
I'm looking
But-
I'm trying to look up V-steaming.
But
Oh, here we go. Can I read this?
sure,
I'll read this for you.
of course you can.
This is from mamamia.com. Thank
Of
you.
course it is.
You can finally get your vagina steam cleaned.
Boom. Just like a carpet
think
or a
my-
cushion.
I'll keep-
Forget your carpets and cushion. Dryton. We come to you and do your burger.
And this is from Lucy Cransbury, who wrote this article. Thank you, Lucy. I think my vagina just retreated into my stomach. The new beauty treatment that is gaining popularity, and by that we mean Gwyneth Paltrow has recommended, is the V-steam. The V is for vagina. You sit on what is essentially a mini throne, and a combination of infrared and mugwort steam cleanses your uterus et al. It's all energetic release, not just a steam douche, but that balances female hormone levels. If you're in LA, you'll have to do it. No, I won't.
Yeah, pretty sure.
I can't
It does your
I won't be
hang on,
recommending-
it does your uterus.
Yeah, it's just straight up there, apparently.
Wow. I would want some
there's-
some data on that before I
Don't
start
you like
getting
the information that I have in my brain compared to Frankie? Like
Yours is much more practical.
this one here.
Wow.
All these stats and information I have random
And the worst
shit
thing
like
is,
this.
the worst thing is that you and I'll forget all of that in 8 minutes.
won't.
That's fucking locked in there for 30 years because he's a savant, right? It never leaves. Once it goes in, the door shuts. It can't get out. It can't get out
I
his
don't want
brain.
this thing to stay. Apparently, it soothes while strengthening the nervous system.
You seem very interested in
It
it.
stimulates the menstrual discharges and the production of milk.
Oh.
Really?
Eases fatigue, headaches,
Wow.
abdominal discomfort, and
Really?
nausea. I reckon a bong could do all of those things.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
it'd be a lot less difficult to achieve.
Guys, reality TV is the answer. Housewives of Melbourne, Kardashians. This is where you learn all this stuff.
Wow.
Yep.
I didn't. It's
So
been a seismic shift in general knowledge today. I mean,
I love that I can teach
Wow.
you guys things.
yeah, thank you.
No, you're welcome. You're
Hey,
very welcome.
I got something for today. Can I raise this? Would you buy an ice cream just because some douche from a cooking show said that you should?
Oh, I know
And
what
how
you're
far
talking about.
how far have we come with the cult of personality and branding that we now believe that because some guy called Manu
Manu,
Fieldell, is that how I say his name?
Manu.
Is he from My Kitchen
My
Rules?
Kitchen Rules. Yeah.
Has put his name to, well, almost claiming that he alone has invented the Magnum. Oh, and he's really gone out on a limb here. He's really pushed out the boat by coming up with the chocolate toffee ice cream on a stick.
Wow.
Manu, did you come up with that?
That's
What, did that
groundbreaking.
take 20 years of research in a lab to come up with chocolate and toffee on a stick? Serious to God. Do people really look at him, go
Have
on
you-
the side of a bus and go, oh, fuck, that's it. Chocolate and toffee it is. If it's good enough for Manu, how?
Have you been ever asked to endorse anything?
No, maybe that's the reason why I'm so jealous.
Because
Such a bit of accident.
yeah, wow.
I just think it's so dumb.
He
do
doesn't
people
give a-
really? Do
Yeah,
people,
but people
really?
would look at that and be like,
Well, it's just the
be
marketing
a
people tell you it's
gourmet.
just brand association.
yeah.
They go him, you
They're
know.
watching My Kitchen Rules.
Yeah,
they're like,
it
oh,
rates
I might as well
highly,
try
they
I
that.
like
reckon
him.
Manu's at home with a giant vat of ice cream, chocolate
No.
and toffee,
Manu
and
doesn't
endlessly
give a
dipping
fuck.
his
Manu's
All
counting
Manu
his
does
cash.
is he goes, okay, so what do I do? Cool. And what do you give me?
Cool.
And what
Tick.
length is the contract? I'm in. That's
This chocolate ice cream is
Yeah.
fucking fantastic.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
And we're
Yeah.
so
The world
in,
of
and we're so
endorsements.
in love with celebrity endorsement. Like, we're not
Okay.
validated. If I like chocolate and toffee, I don't need that dickhead to tell me that it's okay to eat it.
Okay, but hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. You
Settle
just calm
mate.
down.
Settle
over here.
down. Just,
If someone
just
came to you and
get
said,
back under your beret.
"We'll pay you, Frankie, 50 grand to endorse this hat," would you do it? And we're putting you all over buses, and we're going to put you in billboards with your hat on, telling everyone how great that hat
I
is.
kind of think you would.
I might, but I'll
50
tell you,
grand.
there's a good friend of mine who was offered an opportunity very early on, a very famous Australian, and the hat thing is pretty innocuous, but I don't know. I'm always a bit wary about it.
Come on.
So he was offered $500,000 to endorse Big Pond and his reputation to launch Big Pond when it first came.
What's his name rhyme with?
I can't give it away.
Is it-
He's a very famous scientist,
Oh,
and he said no.
I know exactly. who it
And
is.
I
I've
said-
even got his phone number.
Yeah, I said to him, why didn't you do it?
cool.
I said, why didn't you do that? That would have. And he's a scientist. He's a very altruistic scientist. He does a
Yeah.
lot of work for nothing.
Yeah.
And he said, because if it went wrong, my reputation would be ruined forever.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he walked away from a paycheck that would have made his life a hell of a lot
Ooh,
easier because
yeah.
he didn't want to disappoint people.
But I could see why he would do that because he's an incredibly likable, authentic. Like if he said to
Trusted
me,
figure.
yes,
One
if
of
he said
Australia's
to
most
me,
trusted
hey, do
figures.
this, don't do that. These are the reasons why. I'm
Yeah.
like, right, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing the
Except
other.
for the wearing of charcoal.
Yeah.
What do you like? You know, he uses those.
What?
He's obsessed with flying on planes.
Compression.
Compression
Yeah,
garments on
okay.
airplanes and little
Really?
lights on the back of his knee and stuff like that.
Really?
Anyway, he's a bit obsessed with
Is he?
dealing with jet lag.
But how can ice cream go wrong for Manu?
Yeah, it's
It
just
can't. But don't you go? I'm just
yeah, but
selling
that's
myself.
that's the
like-
way it is. I mean, everything
The world
is
we-
everything is a marketing opportunity, a branding opportunity. I mean, even at some stage, once we get above 7 viewers, once we get up to 12 or 13 viewers,
Yeah.
we'll have sponsors clamoring at our door,
I hope-
Francis.
And I will be on the side of a bus.
And
with
you're
them.
going to say no, aren't you?
But I can't do the chocolate and toffee.
The We've
'cause
Got
he's already
Nothing
He's
podcast.
already got that.
And we're going to have to decide who we align ourselves with our 15 viewers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it won't, I can tell you, it won't be Magnum chocolate and toffee after that.
yeah, you just smashed
Right,
it.
Just
them off
fuck
the
out.
list.
Ouch. But I wouldn't survive as an athlete if we didn't have those endorsements.
Oh, look, I don't. It's not that he's got
So
the
we
endorsement.
need
But,
those to
but
be
you
able
can
to
still do
survive.
it with it. Like I'm
You've got to be careful,
I'm
definitely.
sponsored by Max's and I get paid reasonably well.
Yeah.
But I've said to them I won't lie. Not that they want me to lie.
No, but
But
that's
if somebody says to me, hey, do I need to take a protein powder? And I don't think they do. I'll go, nah.
good. Do
'cause
you have a
my-
condition in your contract that you can't get fat?
That's a good point. I haven't read the fine details.
Because you wouldn't imagine they would have that in there, wouldn't they?
No chocolate and toffee for you.
You
Yeah,
have
that's
to be
right.
looking ripped, otherwise.
Well, I always
which
say to
you will
people-
anyway. We
I
know.
always say to people, well, it's like if you need a protein powder, that's a pretty good protein powder. I
Yeah.
use it. Got a bunch of it out there. And
Didn't pay for it.
didn't pay for it. but if you get enough protein in your diet, you don't need it.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily great for the sponsor, but it's true.
Yeah.
So, and they have some things, as do all companies, some products that I think are awesome and some that I wouldn't use, which is not to say they're not good for other people, but,
No.
So like I've had tachycardia and I have an arrhythmia, so I have a permanent arrhythmia. So for me to take like pre-workout sups,
Boom.
yeah, like nah. Even with coffee, 3 a day, if I have 4, like my heart races.
I'm not so much. The endorsements are fine. It wasn't my issue. Wasn't so much that. It was the fact that the idea that somehow within the community we feel we need Manu to tell us what ice cream on a stick.
But the community doesn't make that decision.
No.
But the science of advertising would say
Yeah,
that
I
people
know.
would respond to that.
But then that tells you more about the people than Manu.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not even.
You're criticising our audience.
Yeah.
These are the What's that? If you
I
could,
looked at that side of the bus and went, "Piss off, mate."
if you
Just
could
buy
have
ice
your-
cream. I don't
See,
even
I
know-
look at that and
I
I'm
don't
like,
even-
oh, good deal, mate. Good
don't even
work.
know who you
I reckon
are.
I know the answer
It's
you're
how
going
far
to
off
say
the
to this
pace I am.
question, but I could be totally wrong. if I said to you,
I'm going to get a Golden Gate time.
either of you
In
could have a
protest.
sponsorship deal worth $1 million a year with
Yeah.
any company in the world, any brand.
Ben and Jerry's.
Oh,
Straight up.
gee.
Ice cream?
Which is
Because
your favourite?
Because I believe in Ben and Jerry's.
Which is your favourite?
Oh, Chunky Monkey.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, which you will turn into if you keep eating it. Your namesake. what
Who would I?
I bet I'm going. Hang on.
Much-
Yeah, I knew you were going to say Apple. I was going to write it down.
Yeah,
You would?
definitely.
Yeah. Are you a
Oh,
Apple
I would do
fangirl
it for
from
probably
way
nothing,
back?
to be honest.
What about you?
Wow.
And Ringwood Mazda, of course.
Ringwood Mazda.
$1 million worth.
Living the dream. You, Craig?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
I've tried.
you got to have an answer to your own question.
Have to be a flannel shirt company. So
Yes, that's true. Cargo shorts.
Yeah, don't know. Maybe I know who I'd like.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I just need to figure out which one would be a car company. Maybe,
What about bikes? You're big on bikes.
yeah. I just don't know that I
This
could
is really
earn $1 million
interesting
worth of stuff. Yeah, podcast.
You just
I don't
thinking
know.
about it.
Maybe Porsche or someone.
Oh, yeah.
Just
nice.
give me a new Porsche each year,
Yeah,
just to get her
Every
just,
20,000 Ks.
just your A to B,
that's right.
your commuter,
Yeah.
you know, something like that. But so do you don't have a manager?
No.
You have a manager.
Yep.
Should I
Yeah,
get one? Is
so-
that what you're saying?
Well, I don't reckon it's the worst thing, but you're not at all strategic with, like, you don't, like, you have a high profile, you do telly, you do radio every day to 100,000 plus people. Do you ever think that I should be more strategic with managing my brand and leveraging from my brand in a commercial sense?
Nah, things pop up to do. Like I'm doing some stuff this week, but they're mostly,
So I reckon you should. I
But
reckon
that's
you
why
should.
you have your own website so people can contact you directly for opportunities.
Yeah, but I don't do that. I don't know. What am I doing this week? I'm doing something at the Wheeler Centre on human rights in sport, and I'm doing something on community sport on Friday at the Sports Without Borders conference. So, oh God, I'm such a bleeding heart. Oh,
How do they get in contact with you?
They usually call me on the phone because they know me. So I don't.
Right.
I
I
don't.
reckon
Okay.
you definitely should, and it's
Well,
not,
if you want to use me to just fucking talk shit for an hour,
no,
I'm more
but
than happy to do it.
you're an amazing speaker and an amazing
Yeah.
brain that's wasted. Half of the fuckwits that get around talking to audiences, and I just got in trouble, sorry about that, but there are some brilliant speakers,
Yeah.
but they're also, I work in that space, and I'm not saying I'm the high watermark, I'm not, but there are people out there earning $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8,000 an hour
Talking about what?
talking to corporates, talking
Talking
to
about what though? What are they saying?
they're talking about whatever.
Politics,
They're talking about
sport.
personal growth,
Yeah.
professional transformation, leadership, connection, communication. I do. I won't say on air, but I do stuff on communication and leadership that you'd annihilate, and you.
I need
do you
a
know
piece
what?
of this pie.
Well, let me tell you. Okay, so here's the kind of average rate
Yeah.
for a day for an average. I'm talking about a proper professional speaker, not someone who knows someone, but someone who's with agencies. I'm with 10 agencies. That probably the typical, not awesome, not about 10 to 12 grand a day. Speaking.
Why didn't someone tell me about this before?
Exactly. That's what I'm telling you.
Frankie.
And 3 to 5 grand for a keynote, like standard.
Yeah.
That's not awesome. That's standard. That's what you should be. And it's not all about
But
that.
it's also some people too, like you have a full-time job, plus you do the footy and other things. So it's whether you have the time to even
But-
explore those opportunities.
Okay, so I'm his manager now, and I'm going.
You are.
I'm going to get you 1 gig a week. You're going to get. Let's go bottom rung. Let's
Yeah.
go 3 grand. Well, there's 150 grand a year for fuck all,
Yeah.
right? And it varies. It fluctuates. Like that's my job. But like, what day is today? Tuesday. On Thursday, and I don't say this sound good or bad because it varies week to week, but on Tuesday I have 3 gigs for 3 companies. Each one's 2 hours, 3 different locations. First one's 10 till 12. Just fortunately, second one's 12. What's the second one? 2 till 4. PA.
Lucky you.
And last one's at night 7 to 9, and it's really good day.
Big day.
But there's other weeks where you earn fuck all. But it's for somebody like you. Like I have people come to me all the time who go, how do I become? In fact, I'm running a professional speaking workshop in a couple of weeks. But how do I get into it? Da da da. You, like you're like bloody Buddy Franklin that's playing kick to kick at the park, and you're fit and strong and you're a gun, and there's a game next door and you're just going, nah, that's what you're like. You just don't get the process, the science, or the business of corporate speaking. But if you did it, they would love you. You'd have to learn a few things, but in terms of your content, your knowledge, your skills, they're all there. Then just plonk you in front of 300, 400, 500, 1,000 people, press play, and they'll dig you.
Oh, I need to do this then.
They'll
All
dig
right,
you.
Finally
this is
be
your
able to
personal
buy that
development
Ben and
stuff that
Jerry's.
we're all listening into.
Well, don't you think so though?
Oh, I totally
Do you think
agree.
that of him? I think what a fucking waste.
Totally. Oh, totally.
And I go to conferences where some people stand up and speak, and I go, oh, some people are amazing, but some I go, God, quick, get off.
Get
You're
off.
You're terrible. Or they've got 75 charts or graphs, and it's just disengaging and disconnecting. There's nothing.
It's got to be personal and powerful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
do you have a manager, Craig? Or you do it yourself?
Oh, I have speaking agencies, and Melissa, who's our panel op today, books all my shit, does all my travel, all my accommodation. So if somebody wants to get to me, and here's the other thing, and this is strategic, but this is no revelation. People get this. Like, when you think about what are you worth an hour, if I said to you, Bianca, you can do this gig and get $1,000, or you can do the same gig at this company and get $3,000, it's not a big choice, right? And you go, well, what's the difference? If it's the same gig, same information, the difference quite often is just perception, right? And it's because you're selling an idea and a person and time and knowledge and skills and a brand. So what I get paid now is at least 5 times what I got paid 10 years ago, but I'm definitely not 5 times better. But I've done a lot of it. I've got lots of connections. I've got a bit of a profile in and out of the fitness industry, and I've got momentum and credibility and blah, blah, blah. So you go, and that's cool.
Yeah.
And there's no ego in that, because that is not me. That's my job. And there was for a long time where I earned fuck all.
Yeah.
You know, where I earned, like, my average wage was between $0 and $500 for probably 15 years.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you hit a threshold where something happens. There's what's that point called? Something point, tipping point. Oh. And it just happens.
Yeah.
Good book, by the way. But I definitely, and I know I'm waffling, but definitely you should do. Yeah, I've heard Bianca speak. You're a $3,000-4,000 an hour speaker. I'm not pissing in your pocket. You're a very good speaker.
Thanks, Craig.
And there's no reason why you.
But I think it's also too, you got to. There's heaps of speakers needed in all different fields, but you got to put yourself forward and, you know, be available to people to know that you want to do that.
Yeah.
And so the more you do it, the more you connect with different people, and if someone hears you at one spot, then they get you into their business to do it another time. Like, it's just this on-flow effect, isn't it?
And I'm going to tell you that 93% of communication is non-verbal, and Francis just told me he's getting ready to go because he just sorted all his shit. He just packed everything up.
We're not talking about anything.
He's like, can you wind this shit up? I'm putting my stuff there.
I've got to go and find a manager. That's what I've got to do.
Yes,
I'm
you
managing you.
There you go.
I will get you some
Boom.
work, and
There
I
you
will
go.
not even charge you.
No, I want to work with you. It'd be fun. Tag team.
All right.
Are you
I'm done.
You done?
If you're done, I'm done.
I'm done. I'm done today.
I'm excited
Done.
now. I want to manage him.
Here we go. Don't get him any endorsements. You might get in trouble.
Only hats.
Yeah,
Hats and
he'll
Ben
be
and
in next
Jerry's.
week with a big fucking Magnum t-shirt going.
Seriously, it's an ice cream on a stick. They've been around forever.
Let it
Kids
go.
go
Let
into
it
the
go.
supermarket.
Let it go.
When you walk out of here, you're never thinking about that again.
Take it. No, it's in there.
It's
That's
out.
the thing.
Get rid of it.
That's the thing with
Trapped
him.
in the vault.
His nervous system will be going all day. Fucking cortisol overload. That fucking Magnum.
Indeed. That's it. We're all off to go and have a Magnum. I hope you've enjoyed this edition. We've got nothing. Thank you, Craig.
See you, mate.
See you, B.
Peace
We'll
out.
do it again next week.